This is Alan Can. I help organizations to deliver better quality software-driven innovations more quickly and more cost-effectively. In this demonstration video, I'll be showing you how you can use Bluemix and DevOps services to collaborate on development, manage your Agile project tasks, track your progress, as well as closing a sprint. So let's get started. Going back to the track and plan. From the previous video, I have created user stories and related tasks. This is a related task to a story. So if we go into the task itself, you can see the link back to the story, which is on the created per diem expenses. Now if we come back to my work, this is where the work assigned to me will show up, and it is in a 3-column format, so open, in progress, and resolved. During your daily stand-up meeting or daily Scrum meetings, you will most likely need to talk about what you have done yesterday, what you will be completing today, and what's blocking your progress. So this 3-column format will help you to manage your tasks. Obviously, this column now here is what you are likely to be doing today or in the next day. Now, if you need to create an impediment, let's say something's blocking your progress, you can also create it from here in this view. So you can say hardware environment's not ready, and therefore you can't do coding, and you say that's an impediment, and you can even assign someone to work on this particular impediment. Now obviously, because we're using Bluemix, this is not a good reason for us to not do our development work, so we'll just cancel that and we'll just start working on writing code. Now with Agile projects, a lot of the times we'll start with test-driven development, in other words writing tests. Now if we come back to the build and deploy, that is where we can enable unit testing. So we'll just go back to configure the build, and we'll enable unit tests. The test result pattern here tells you where IBM DevOps services will be picking up the test results. So let's leave that as default. Now we have enabled unit testing. So let's go back to our code and make some changes. Assuming that I have already created some unit tests, I have pre-created some unit tests there. Let's say we will just change some actual code to make things work. So let me go into the code. I need to add a new expense type, remember? I need to add per diem. So let's copy that line of code and just make it per diem. Press Ctrl S to save, and then we can go to our changes in source management to push our changes to the build. Now remember, again, this is a 2-step commit process. So first thing, we need to check in the code so that the file is on the server, and then secondly we'll deliver to the mainstream. Now the work item here, we're obviously working on the work item that we've been assigned on, so we'll just find that work item again. In this case, we won't be putting in a comment, we'll just go deliver. Let's take a look at the build and deploy. Now it has already finished building, and it is in the process of deploying the application onto Bluemix. If we just have a look at the build here, it shows us the log for the build as well as what unit tests. Looks like I've got a failed unit test there, but nevertheless I asked it not to stop on failing the test, but here you can see I've got one unit test and it failed. coming back to the deployment, it has finished. And if we go back to the application again, you see that in this new application we have per diem as an expense type. Let's say you have completed all development and you come to the close of a sprint, and we'll do a sprint review demonstration. So this Bluemix application, remember you've specified a unique URL here, the unique name of your application, and then .mybluemix.net is where your application resides. So you can go back to that application and you can start doing your demonstration here. So in this case, we say, we should be able to put a per diem expense in there. And surely it accepts the per diem expense. So that means you have satisfied the acceptance criteria of that user story. So you can go back to your track and plan and close off your task and your story. So that's your task. You can easily say, I've completed it. It will move it to the resolved column. You can also follow the link back to the story itself. Here's the user story. And we can do the same thing. We can close the user story. Let's say in your sprint review there is a issue raised about the performance of the application. So obviously you can go back to the backlog and create a new work item. Fix performance issue. Let's say that's a task. If it is an application issue, then you go back to edit code and change your code. It may be a matter of refactoring, but if it is to do with possibly hardware issues or not having enough memory or processing power, then that's something you can go to Bluemix and take a look and see if that's the case. So if you go to Bluemix, I'll just show you the home screen. This is your application. You can go into it, and it tells you that this is the URL, this is the MySQL service that it's using. And if you go to runtime, just scroll down a little bit, it'll tell you how much memory it's using. So we have assigned it 1 GB of memory. It's currently using 160 megs, so it is unlikely a memory problem. But if it is a memory problem, then you can easily just change the amount of memory you use from here. Right? You can also duplicate the amount of instance. So in the case of load balancing, you can increase the number of instances. Finally, at the end of a sprint, you are likely to have a retrospective meeting. So if we go back to the track and plan, again, this is where you can enter information about things that you've learned in this sprint. You can create a new retrospective, which could be, could extend to a task for changing some of the rituals in the next sprint. Finally, in your sprint here, we still have an unfinished item. So we can easily just say at the close of a sprint, we can't finish this one, we'll just move it to the next sprint. Now you have seen how you can use Bluemix and IBM DevOps services to support your collaboration for development, support your daily stand-up meetings, and also closing of a sprint, such as sprint review and retrospectives. This also concludes the 3-part demonstration series of how you can use IBM Bluemix and IBM DevOps services for your Agile project. Thank you for watching.